everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Industrial Packaging Podcast with me, your host, Nathan Dube, Digital Marketing Specialist at Industrial Packaging. On today's episode, we have a special guest who is Steve Robert, Global Vice President of Sales and Marketing, as well as Product Innovation at AIB International. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Nathan. Pleasure to be here.
Likewise, it's great to have you on the show. Without further ado, why don't we hop into the questions here? The first one of which is, what does AIB International do?
Great question. So for over 100 years now, Nathan, AIB International has partnered with our clients to bring the enjoyment of, safe, high-quality food to consumers everywhere through customized training, certification, inspections and consulting, mainly better known as GMPs, and regulatory assistance. Our global team of food safety and quality professionals has grown to service more than over 120 countries around the globe. And obviously, we're committed to helping food and beverage supply chain companies really apply the highest standards of integrity. At the end of the day, we are a one-stop shop for helping the food and beverage supply chain bring an intense focus to ensuring discipline and not only having solid documentation, but superior insights on how to manage food safety from a practical perspective. This applies from the front line to senior management.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely awesome. Yeah, you guys seem like a really great institution. I've been with Industrial Packaging for 2 years now, and I know how important that our relationship with you guys has been to upper management. So I thank you for the answer to that first question. Moving on from there, question number 2. This is sort of relevant not only to our listeners who might be interested in this topic, but specifically to Industrial Packaging. Industrial Packaging, which is the company that I work for, was the first company in the U.S., or first packaging company rather, in the United States of America to be pandemic prepared certified by AIB International. So moving into question 2, I'd ask you, what is pandemic prepared certification?
Sure. First, I want to acknowledge your point. You're right. You guys are the first packaging company in the United States of America to become certified, and we really appreciate that. The pandemic prepared certification is first certification standard created specifically for the food and beverage supply chain. And that's really focused on elevating critical planning for people, facilities, and production inputs, and delivers significant social impact, builds bottom line resiliency, and can unlock insurance benefits. The certification really provides assurance for supply chain and consumers that your company is committed to establishing but also maintaining those best practices. Certified operations are recognized as really bringing the highest standards of integrity to the global food and beverage supply chain. This results in not only internal and social benefits, but also business continuity, significant bottom line impacts due to your demonstrated commitment to decreased risk.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for the accolades and thank you for that information. I think our listeners are really going to get a lot out of today's show because many of our customers are companies who could likely, find pandemic prepared certification useful for their own organizations. So with that being said, we will move on to question 3, which is, how does a company become certified to the pandemic prepared standard?
Sure. The certification standard for pandemic prepared is prescriptive and practical in that it provides the food and beverage supply chain with 5 critical areas that an operation will need to demonstrate proficiency in order to become certified to this standard. These areas include pandemic crisis management, supply chain management, intermittent operations planning management, health crisis mitigation measures and management, and finally, a prerequisite program review. And really, at the end of the day, by demonstrating proficiency in each of these areas, operations can achieve that certification. Now, there are a number of different steps operations can take to be prepared for the certification audit. I recommend they start with our free preparedness plan review to help assess the state of their operations plans and protocols. In this session, our experts walk through your plan with you, identify those critical gaps. That's definitely, from my perspective, the best way to go. And next, our on-demand course will provide a solid foundation to the certification standard, so you can develop a comprehensive plan that addresses all this course includes. A free hour of consulting. So once you complete the course, you can schedule your free video conference consulting session with us to address any additional questions. So I think essentially with a strong foundation in the certification standard and updated preparedness plan, your operation will benefit from our certification pre-assessment, which is an essential step to identify those gaps between your preparedness program and, I will say, the rigorous certification standard of the Pandemic Prepared. This mock audit provides details on opportunities for improvement so you can resolve nonconformances before the certification audit. It's offered virtually or on site, and more information about each of these options can be found on our website at aibinternational.com or by emailing ppc@aibinternational.com.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that information. I think a lot of our listeners are going to find this very useful, especially because we are living in not quite a post-COVID world yet, but I think what we've collectively learned from the pandemic is that tools such as what you guys at AIB International are providing in this context are going to be extremely important moving forward, which piggybacks on question number 4, which is why should companies get certified to the Pandemic Prepared Standard?
Sure. Well, we developed the Pandemic Prepared certification because the food and beverage supply chain were ill-prepared for a global pandemic and the associated disruption it created in nearly every aspect of business operations worldwide. Certification is a proactive measure to help companies across the supply chain prepare for the future with only best-in-class protocol benchmarks. The certification also provides assurance for the supply chain and consumers that your company upholds industry-recognized best practices for supporting food safety, employee health, and business continuity. And all of those are absolutely critical. For proactive leaders like industrial packaging, certification can be particularly impactful because you work with so many brands. They depend on you packaging products. So because certification can help mitigate the impacts of the pandemic, those customers then know they can depend on industrial packaging to deliver, no matter the circumstances. So I think it's phenomenal.
Yes, and I would agree. That's absolutely true. What Pandemic Prepared certification has given us is just another feather in our cap to prove, the level of quality and the insistence upon safety that we have for our clients. So I thank you for our work together, and I look forward to continue working with your organization. With that being said, we're coming up on the next question, which is a bit more of a commentary about us. At Industrial Packaging, it seemed like we had already implemented many of the recommendations and even the living standard. What benefits does certification now offer us and our customers?
Yep. Great question. When the pandemic first hit, I understand that the industrial packaging team was quick to implement best practices and make sure your facility was a safe place to work. What certification did was further elevate those practices, and when we then audited the operation against a third-party standard, publicly recognizing your commitment to establishing and maintaining those best demonstrated practices. So really, both employees and consumers are really intelligent when it comes to third-party certification. They want to know that the companies they work with, that they work for, and purchase from are going above and beyond, especially during these times. According to a recent McKinsey survey, 92% of consumers consider how companies take care of their employees' safety when deciding to make a purchase. And it's coming from the McKinsey and Company COVID-19 U.S. Customer Pulse Survey that was published in October 2020. So back to this, though, for industrial packaging to step up and become the first packaging company in the world and the first U.S.-based company to achieve certification and make this commitment for your operation and employees, as well as the benefit of your food and beverage customers, it's absolutely exceptional. So even during the ongoing pandemic, certification provides assurance for your customers that industrial packaging is committed to bringing the highest standards of integrity to the global food and beverage supply chain.
Absolutely, that's 100% correct. And I can't tell you enough how excited I am to be part of this company and also to continue to move forward into 2021 and beyond with our partnership with AIB International. Speaking of which, what other products and services does AIB International offer to their clients?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, so customized training, certifications, inspections and consulting, and regulatory assistance. We really help the world's favorite food and beverage brands, their distributors, even their packaging providers, improve their food safety and quality management practices. We do that in the mission of supporting the delivery of safe, high-quality food every day. Take, for instance, our GMP inspection, which not only provides a look at your facility, inspecting everything from floor drains to the air handling units on the roof and everything in between. GMPs serve as a complement to GFSI audits, which does a solid job of challenging documented programs and systems, while the GMP inspection challenges in tremendous detail if programs and systems are actually working. It's an excellent and robust, programs with solid and demonstrated execution make for really the well-rounded food safety program.
Fantastic. That is an awesome plethora of different products and offerings that you have, so thank you for the feedback on that. Moving on from there, we come to the next question, which is, are your services offered globally?
Absolutely. We are a global organization. We currently operate in more than 120 countries around the world, providing service to customers wherever they may be located as well. Customers can access our expertise through virtual platforms. This includes online seminars, on-demand training, food safety plan assessments, even virtual risk assessments or hybrid audits. That's become even more critical today than ever.
That's interesting. Now, the virtual assessments, I know that wasn't specifically a question on the docket today, and I won't put you on the spot if you're not interested, but can you tell us a little bit about the virtual assessments? I think that's something, particularly right now as we're still battling this global pandemic, that people may be interested in hearing more about.
Yes, absolutely. Happy to answer that. So the virtual assessment is a non-scored summary evaluation of the risks we're able to identify as we walk through an operation virtually, and we're calling out things we know to be areas of immense focus. And remember, operating in all these different countries around the globe, Nathan, we have quite a list of data and findings that really helps us bring a comprehensive assessment to any facility around the globe, and we are known for this. And it's only been highlighted even more these days with so many countries in lockdown and restrictions for people being able to actually get into facilities.
Yeah, understood. That makes a lot of sense because we're seeing it a lot with our own customers and here in the U.S. as well. Okay, well, moving on from there, we have one more question for you in today's podcast, Steve, and that is, where can people learn more about AIB International?
For sure. You can find us at aibinternational.com. Also on LinkedIn, Facebook.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time on the podcast today, Steve. I do hope I get the chance to speak to you again in the future sometime down the road. I wish you all the luck and opportunities in 2021 and beyond. Once again, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan, and likewise, and we wish nothing but the best for you and the rest of the industrial packaging team as well.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for another episode of the Industrial Packaging Podcast with me, your host, Nathan Dube, Digital Marketing Specialist at Industrial Packaging. I hope you enjoyed today's show, and we'll see you next time.